If you've just started modeling, sitting in front of Cameo using SysML for the first time, at some point you're going to ask yourself, when is the model done? Think of it like test-driven development. You don't write all of the test up front before a single line of code is implemented. You write your test, you implement against it, and then you move on. Same concept can be applied to MBSE, but more so in a design layer. Model one capability, hand it off to your software development team, let them implement it while you move on to the next one. And here's the part that no one talks about. Once you're done implementing all of your capabilities, you already have your test. The model tells you exactly how your system is supposed to behave. That becomes your test case. You don't write the test after the fact, it comes out of the model. And this whole process prevents the model from becoming a document repository. You have your full mock-up of how your system is supposed to behave along with your test suite. Let's jump into the model to see how it actually is implemented. All right, so we're gonna run a very quick demo. It won't be anything fancy. So we'll just rename this to a service. Let's call it service model actually. And we will create another package, service model, and we'll create a block. I'll call it just service, and we'll create a diagram, state machine diagram, and it'll be very simple, uninitialized, and then we'll go to initialized, and we'll create some signals as well. One signal would be just command, another one could be command status. We won't put any properties underneath it, just so we're trying to get it to work, just to show one very simple capability. We'll add a proxy port, we'll just call it API, and then we will go make that transition to signal event here, and then we'll take the signal and we'll place it, meaning when I get command, I'm going to go to initialized. Of course, we can break it down further and add properties underneath command. And then when we come into initialized, we will go provide entry, which would be send status, and it's going to create a diagram for us, and that would be just sending out command status, and then we'll specify the port API here. So we're just sending, and so we have a very simple design. Our service goes off to uninitialized state, it goes to, then it needs command message, and then it'll be initialized, and then it'll send status back. So great, now we have a service, very simple capability. We can even test it in the model. Ideally, you'd want to do this in a different model and have a project usage, but for the purposes of this demo, we'll just do it here. We'll create a block. That block would be called test bench. I'll create a part property here, system under test. I'll type it with my service. I'll create a proxy port here, that would be my test port, and I'm going to create an IBD, and oops, and I can tell it connect these two together. So last thing we need is to create a test script, and that would go under our test bench, and that's very, very simple. We're going to start this whole script off. We're going to send it command, and that would be via test port because we are now in the context of test bench. So we'll place test port here, and then after that we'll wait for command status to come back, and we'll see if that happens. And activity final. So now we can just simulate, our test bench. We can see first we sent the command via test port out, and then we got test status back. If you want to see it through the lens of this, we can see command goes out, command status comes back, and we can of course see it through our state machine as well. So we sent the command, it moved to a different state, and then that's then status, and it ends. So it's just one capability. Of course, there's a lot more modeling work that's needed here, but for the purposes of what we talked about, we have one capability that can be handed off to a software development team, and then they can begin to work on it. We did that in less than 5 minutes. Of course, adding another 5 minutes, we can add more fidelity into it. But we'll have another video that goes in depth of creating a model that has full picture with full parameters and has a bit more depth into it. So hopefully you guys learned something from this and it's useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. All right, thank you.